And whoa, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. And whoa, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on.
Hey gang, Mocha Boy here. Welcome back, and as always, thanks for tuning back in. So yeah, we're about a week and change out from NAFPV, and I've got a couple of builds on my bench that I'm going to try to get done for them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to whip through them because you know I want to do a lot of fun stuff with the planes. But we're going to do a quick unboxing just so that you can see what comes with the packages. Over on my right, I've got the Strix Goblin, and that's the ready-made RC Strix line Goblin, and then over on my left, got a box from Chris Click. This is the mini Drak, not the full-size Drak, but the mini version. And I'm going to see what I can do about getting these built up. I'll go over some of the equipment, and you can see what's going to be going into these birds. I am going to be trying something a little different. In the past, I've used Patrick Emilson's Baseflight firmware, just for standard return to home. Standard return to home insurance, but I'm actually going to try iNav with a couple of F3, F4 AIO boards that have been sent to me. So yeah, should be a fun build. Anyway, we're not going to go into too much detail with the unboxing. I just want to see what's in the boxes, get the projects laid out, and then see if I can put together an action plan to get these guys built up. I'm going to try the mini Drak first though, because the Strix Goblin should go together very quick. Alex Huff over at Ready Made RC does a really phenomenal job with designing these things to go together very quickly. Takes a lot of the pain of the build process out, unless you're one of those guys who loves the build process and the hundreds of hours that it could take. But we don't have a lot of time here to get these birds up in the air, so I'm going to leave that until the last moment. And even if it comes down to it, I'll bring it with me to NAFPB and just assemble it there with Zach from our friends down in Florida. So yeah, let's get to opening it and see what's in the boxes. Spacer, wing, fuse, Elevons, Coroplast hardware. These look like Spar covers. Spars. That little guy's small, huh? Also Elevons, nice. So we're going to have to cut those down. Okay, that should be fine. was Mama. Hey, Cole.
Doesn't crack. I was in behind me. To the right. I can't get up.
Yeah, we'll go for a ride.
Yeah, can we go to a ride for like the bicycle? Papa, are we going to be done in 3 minutes?
I hope so.
No. No.
Outside.
Can we ride it
Yep.
until you're done?
Yeah, just give me a few minutes, okay, Cole? I'm just finishing up here.
Skateboarding! Let me check my egg if it's hatched. If there's a surprise in here. Oh, buses! Buses! Buses!
You're a silly, silly boy. One more wing to do after this, Cole, and then I'm done, okay?
Then we can ride a bike?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Are you all done?
Did I say I was done?
No.
I said I have one more wing to do, and then I'm done.
One more wing?
Yep.
Where is it? Is it right here?
Yep. That's the other wing. Papa has to finish that, and then I'm done.
Then we're back down. That's the way to set. Don't bleed. It doesn't go there.
So yeah, this is where we're at after many coatings of Plastidip and masking and unmasking and all kinds of fun stuff. A couple of things that I would note: if you're going to use Plastidip, obviously leave yourself enough time for each of the layers to shoot each of the layers to make sure you get that nice consistent look. I did get some modeling here, but that's just because I'm in such a rush to finish this at this point that I don't even care, and I started laying it on thick. But this is kind of what happens when, let's see if I can get that on there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but right over here you can actually see a bit of pockmarking and bubbling. That's where one of the sections where I laid it on really thick, and the you can see where the solvent kind of just bubbled off the surface. You can see it a little bit better here. I don't know if you can see that. And this is one section that I literally did all in just one application. I just said I don't care anymore. I've worked on this long enough, to hell with it. And I just laid it on, and predictably, you can see kind of like along the edges here that everything started to bubble, as the solvent kind of gassed off. Whereas here on the top, this was like 4 or 5 coatings. It's nice and smooth, maybe not as uniform. One of the other things that I did learn about working with Plastidip is that you got to get the tape off as soon as you think you're done, because look what happened here. With this, I started to pull off the masking tape, and the Plastidip had actually adhered, created a single uniform surface with the tape, and I ended up having to go through and cut a line, and in a couple of different places the Plastidip actually lifted, so that was really unfortunate. And then this section here, this actually isn't Plastidip, this is plastic coat. This was something else that I used that I wanted to try to see if it worked, and it seemed like close enough to the color, but as you can see here, just as I pulled the tape off, it completely came apart, so I won't be using that again, at least for masking scenarios. Whereas, the Plastidip held pretty well, held on pretty well when I pulled off the tape. I had no issues with it lifting off there, except for this one spot here. So I'm going to go in, I haven't decided if I'm going to touch that up. I'm going to have to touch that up somehow. But yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll just cut a little back and then, kind of fill it in with some Plastidip there. So yeah, that's where we're at. This is what it looks like assembled. Actually, this is backwards. Got one indicator stripe here. I mean, obviously, I didn't have time, to build up as many layers, but it's, it is what it is at this point. I think I'm going to skip the lamination process because at this point I have one day to get all the electronics in and to get everything programmed and ready to go for her Maiden at an EFPV, so an AFPV rather. So yeah, that's where we're at. The wings are more or less done. I fixed up some of the problems that I had with the paint and the Plastidip. Kind of is what it is at this point. Pretty much ran out of time to do anything else, but I've got the Velcro in. The wings are on there pretty, just loosely right now, just to keep everything together. I went ahead and gooped on the side winglets, and I'm going to start with the electronics installed. But before I get into that, I'm going to do the ailerons. So there's a trick to this, and I will show you that. And the trick to this is just creating a double-sided piece of tape here. And then the way you do the installation is just alternate between up and down. I mean, between one side and another side. And that allows you to get a nice tight seal. Once it's on nice and tight, that gives you something to lever onto when you pull this tight. And voila. So just wanted to do a quick pause here and show you the motor mount. This is how I have it mounted. There's a slot right up here for your wires. I did have to source out my own M3x8 bolts here, and the slots for these bolts are a little wide, so I ended up having to use a few washers. Just remember to get some Loctite in there before you pump those in. And there's not a lot of clearance here, so take a look at that. Not a lot of clearance. This is on the Secret Sauce motor, the 2814 1700 kV. So, I mean, I guess on the brighter side of things, if you ever do warp this barrel, you're going to know right away. So yeah, I mean, it's probably optional, but if you wanted to, you could go through and kind of shave down those edges if you think that you might run into an issue where, you know, these arms can come in. So just one thing I wanted to point out there. Just wanted to do a quick pause and update, just to let you know what my equipment placement looks like at this point. I am going to be going with an Omnibus F3 AIO board that's going to be loaded up with iNav along with an M8N GPS. Now down below, 5/8 of an inch forward of the front of the spar cap, you'll see these circles. These are your CG marks. I just threw a couple of servo screws in there just so that I could, so I could feel out where the center of those holes were. And I'm getting a pretty decent balance right about at this point. There's no flight cam that's been attached to this yet, and I haven't done any lamination other than just to get the hinge tape in. So that's what I'm looking at for equipment placement. This is a China Hobby Line 30C 4500. 4500 mAh 4S battery. So that's what in there. I tried my Bonka 4S 3300, but it just wasn't heavy enough to balance it out, and I didn't want to add weight to the nose, so I'm just going to add a bigger battery. And it looks like, with some positioning, I should be able to get a 5000 4S in here as well. But this is what I have, so that's what I'm going to go with. Got a little bit of work to do here. This is what I'm using for control horns. One of the guys in the FPV hangar turned me on to these, Rich LaManna. These are conical control horns. These are really, really nice, along with just some regular quick links and then some threaded rod here. So I'm about to lock these into position as soon as I get, as soon as I'm happy with the placement of everything. I've already gone ahead and centered my servos, so I pulled these upstairs. Took these upstairs, put them on my servo tester, threw that at about 1500 PWM, and then got these centered, clipped off the ends of the servo arms. Now what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm actually going to cut. I think I'm going to cut the servo wires right here, and then add a female adapter onto there so that I can attach and detach these wings without. I want to be sure that when I crash, that these wings pop off and that the wire doesn't pull out of the back of the servo. These are pretty expensive servos, and I'd much rather that they just pop right off. And so I'm going to wire up a little bit of an adapter there so that'll mate with the rest of this. I've got a 10 amp BEC that I'm going to be using to power the servos, and then I'm going to use the BL Heli 60 amp their BEC to power the flight controller, the GPS. This is, I think, like a 2.5 amp BEC. What do we have here? Sorry, 5 amp BEC. So I'll just energize the 5 volt rail and then power all my electronics off of that. I'll get the receiver. I'll get the receiver, the GPS, the flight controller, all powered off of this. I'll have a separate power rail, 12 volt or 5 volt. Actually, I'll pull off of here. Actually, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to need a separate voltage regulator to power my RunCam split, which I haven't cut in yet, but I'll be doing pretty soon, just as soon as I get everything else situated. Apart from that, no issues with the motor mount. There's, like I said, very little clearance here, but I wasn't able to pull this all the way up here because of this bracket here. I hadn't really accounted for, you know, the positioning of this bar, and I'm not about to, you know, just throw that in a Dremel to chop off that, you know, to chop off that post. So I ended up just moving it back, and this is going to, you know, kind of play with your it's going to give you a couple of problems with your CG, because you can take this and flip it out to move the motor further back for whatever reason, if you wanted to do like an even bigger battery or something. But you know, this is what I ended up with CG wise, or positioning wise, for the CG that I have right now. So I'm going to go up and spend a little time behind the soldering station and start getting my electronics package ready. So we're here at NAFPV, and I've got Mike Nieves, the mini Drak master, looking over my plane. I saw some problems with it, so you know, we reached in everybody's boxes, and he helped me work out a couple of issues. But going through final checks, looking at default reflex, total throws, CG, all that just from the other mini Drak pilots, just to make sure that I am okay. And we're gonna try to Maiden this girl very soon.
She's looking good.
Right. Mike, you want me to talk? All right, here we go. Mini Drak Maiden.
Torque roll to the left.
All right, mini Drak remade, and here we go. Let's try one more time.
Ready? Yep. When I launch, throttle up. Thank you. That's a high rate. Well, you want me to hit your trim down? CG back a little bit. Up, 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 up! Flip, flip, flip! Oh my god.
We're bringing you the NAF to the B to the V, breaking it down for all the world to see. Got 5.8 and 1.3. Get yourself down and get busy. Come on, son, take me for a ride. I'll put the goggles down, gonna get me high, flying low with your sharpoon moves and your juice flowing. Whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. Whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. Come on down to the North American FPV meet. You can meet some crazy bastards like Yuski and Ivy Crazy, and even me. And whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. And whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. With the NEFPV crew, TBRC gonna bring the hooch, lighten up the sky when the sun goes down, with your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground. And whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on. And whoa, oh, oh, ain't nothing wrong with living your life with your goggles on.